Minister, it's no secret that I, along with many people, think this bill and the referendums that will be held on foot of it are a gigantic waste of money and time. I am sick to the teeth of this government frittering away its time and resources on complete non-issues while continuing policies that inflame the actual problems of this country that people want to see fixed. You're putting these dual referendums to the people to see what they want. I wonder what would happen if we asked the public what they actually want to vote on. If we said to the entire country, choose one thing to change about what this government is doing, how many do you reckon would respond, gosh, we need to get them to alter this pesky constitution, it's really been holding me back psychologically? Or how many would kill for the chance to vote on immigration or housing or the HSE? But of course, that would be giving up too much power to the people. They must only be allowed to nod or to shake their heads at whatever the government serves them up, and sometimes not even that. So we're left with this bill, which will be pushed through this House, as it wasn't at all by the Executive's control over the legislature, but which I hope will be rejected by the people. Minister, you want to remove the only instance of the words woman and mother from the Constitution, after which we won't get a mere mention in the foundation document setting out our rights. Women do not want to be reduced to non-gender language. The public has been fed a cock and bull story about how this referendum is about the woman's places in the home, feeding into the popular misconception that the Constitution contains some provision along these lines, when in fact we know that what exists is a protection for women who wish to work in the home and serve this country by raising a family. Despite that, the fact that the government recently set up a national counter-disinformation strategy working group, this identification of mis- or disinformation appears to only work one way. There is no outlet for citizens to point out the misinformation on this referendum is coming from the government itself. The establishment narrative has been that this is a historical chance to get rid of sexist and outdated wording in the Constitution, to give wider recognition to carers, and to modernise the definition of a family, following the now very tired government playbook of portraying themselves as being the leading global figures on the cutting edge of any and all progressive causes. But I, for one, do not view the erasure of women as something worthy of being progressed. The current wording of the Irish Constitution recognises that women and mothers play an important role in the home. This does not negate the vital role that men and fathers play in the home, nor does it confine women to the home or tie us to the kitchen sink, the dishwasher or the cooker. As Senator McDowell has pointed out, this article in no way diminishes any choice for mothers. Rather, it casts the obligation on the state to amplify their free choices whether or not to work outside the home by assisting those who freely choose to work in the home and would otherwise be forced against their wishes to engage in labour outside the home. We have had a female president in Ireland for 21 of the last 33 years. Women in this country have every freedom to develop rewarding careers in areas that can be freely chosen. Much ado has been made about the presence of this article in our Constitution existing as some sort of background psychological radiation, polluting the air and causing women to self-limit in their employment aspirations. This, of course, is complete rubbish, and I challenge anyone to find a single woman who would say that the existence of Article 41.2 has limited them in any way. The current wording in the Irish Constitution gives women and mothers a solid foundation for wider recognition in Irish society and provides a basis on which to strengthen current laws that support women and mothers in their work, including in the home. Former Chief Justice Ms. Justice Susan Denham said in a 2001 case that Article 42.2 does not assign women to a domestic role. Article 4.2 recognises the significant role played by wives and mothers in the home. This recognition and acknowledgement does not include women and mothers from other roles and activities. The work is recognised because it has immense benefit for society. If the public at large knew what is actually contained in 41.2, then women, the length and breadth of the country, would be clamouring for it, not to be retained, but actually implemented. A 2017 survey of Irish mothers found that, given the choice, 62% of Irish mothers would prefer to stay at home to raise their children. How many women in Ireland do you think are engaged in labour by economic necessity to the neglect of their duties in the home? Hundreds and thousands at least. These mothers are forced to work because of the economic policies of successive governments have made it impossible for a family to survive on a single income. Many mothers are now expressing the wish that if they had known about this protective guarantee, to allow them to stay at their home. And so mothers are denied a choice in whether to stay at home with their children because they cannot afford to. Rather, they must work, only to be forced to use a significant chunk of their earnings to pay for childcare, employing a stranger to mind their own children whom they'd much rather be minding themselves. It really is a bonkers system, and that's what women are forced to do by economic necessity, because the government isn't abiding by the Constitution. And now, rather than supporting women who wish to work in their homes, we want to remove your obligation to them and water it down to saying that you strive to support carers. I don't view this as progress at all. I think it's another cynical step towards attempting to erase sex difference in society, because the progressives have deemed the innate difference between men and women problematic. I think the government should step up to the plate, rather than lowering the bar. It should be abiding by its constitutional obligations to support mothers in the home. It could spend the 20 million and the large portion of money you will give to cow-towing NGOs examining financial supports for mothers to allow them to remain in the home, some sort of universal basic income, or tax reliefs for their husbands, or the one parent increasing on a per-child basis. Like the rest of the West, Ireland is in the grip of an unmentioned fertility crisis. The birth rate has decreased every year since 2008. It now stands at 1.78 births per woman, well below the replacement rate of 2.1. The birth rate has more than halved since 1973. This is a population implosion time bomb, and the government is doing nothing about it. Any serious government would immediately implement proactive, family, positive fiscal measures and begin urgent work on identifying and rectifying the economic and societal ills that are suppressing birth rates. But this government will not do that. Why worry about the future of Ireland, its children, demographics and the culture, when there's the next election to worry about? Or when taxpayers' money can be spent on national-scale virtual signalling? Out there, on the ground, there's a real appetite for change. Big, serious, real change. Not this. And for me, it can't come fast enough. For now, I'll be voting no to this bill.